Okay, how a turbocharger works. Okay, this video is going to be about how a turbocharger works and the various details about it. A turbocharger harnesses your exhaust gases, which in turn compresses atmospheric air. A turbocharger is pretty much a glorified air compressor. It harnesses exhaust gases to compress atmospheric air, forcing pressurized air into your combustion chamber. Essentially, it's recycling for better performance. It's a glorified air compressor. Okay, so here you have the piston. It moves up and down, and it essentially moves your crankshaft. And so you have your exhaust gases coming out, and your intake, your fuel and your air coming in, and your exhaust gases going out. The turbocharger recycles your exhaust gases, making it go into your intake air eventually after it goes through some various stages, as I'm going to show you. Alright, your exhaust gas goes this way, and this is really perpendicular to your turbocharger. Forget about the slant right here. It goes perpendicular to your... Now your turbocharger, on one side is a compressor, which pretty much it sucks in air. It doesn't really suck in air. It's a differential pressure, where you have low pressure on one side, high pressure on the other, and it kind of sucks the air. So you have air, your exhaust gas is coming in, and it's hitting a turbine. And there's a shaft in the middle. There's journal bearings and oils coming through here. It's lubricating it, and there's some seals. And you're turning a turbine and a compressor, and this is sucking in air, which is you want to suck in pressure. You want to have pressurized air to go into the combustion chamber, which is what gives you the more air, fuel, more torque, and more power. And you have a wastegate down here, which it sets the PSI. It sets your PSI. There's a wastegate right here that sets your PSI limit to how much, because you don't want to overload the system and it blows up. And your exhaust, your waste or whatever that you can't handle in your system, goes out your exhaust and out your tailpipe and just out your normal exhaust. But the boost, the air that you do want to come through after it goes through the compressor, gets sucked in, and this extra, you get the exhaust gases and the extra air coming in. It travels. It doesn't really travel this way. It's just got a description, but it travels or whatever, and it goes into an intercooler, because you have, it's hot air, it's hot exhaust air, and then you got your atmospheric air. It goes into an intercooler, and inside your intercooler it's either liquid or air, and it's designed to cool that air. So now we've reached your intake manifold, and here's where we reach the blow-off valve. Now whenever you let off your accelerator, your throttle valve closes or whatever, then there's going to be all this pressurized air in your intake side, and it needs a place to go or whatever, and because it'll eventually try to make its way in. So there's a blow-off valve, which is set. It has a PSI limit, just as the wastegate did. It has a PSI limit, and it's just a little valve, and it blows off the gas. The whole point of any internal combustion engine is to turn a crankshaft, which in goes into your transmission. Your transmission, it takes all that raw torque and converts that torque, energy power, into a manageable torque and power for your engine, for your car or whatever. Your drive shaft translates this, and it goes into a differential, which translates the energy in a different way towards your tires, to each individual tire. I have a couple of differentials. It goes to your tires, which is how you move. Simplify that or whatever. It's much more complicated, but basically you have a crankshaft, transmission, drive shaft, differential, and then your tire. You know, there's rods and stuff like that, and tie rods and all that junk, and all kinds of stuff. What's really cool about a turbocharger is how it's made. They take a sand mold, they have a sand mold, they put it under pressure or whatever, they put it in this forge or whatever, they do a bunch of stuff, whatever, a bunch of manufacturing stuff, and then they pour this hot aluminum liquid aluminum stuff. They pour this hot aluminum into the sand mold, and they use CAD tools, computer-aided drafting tools. There's a bunch of computers and it's CAD tools, and then once they have their basic turbocharger, they have an iron center housing, and that's where your bearing resides. There's a bearing in there, and that bearing is pretty much situated in the middle or whatever. It's what separates your turbine to compressor or whatever. I mean, you can call them both turbines, but they're separate terms: compressor, turbine. But then after it's all done, they do all the finishing or whatever. It's vibration test. Now a turbocharger is definitely good in aircraft, and it can be used in any internal combustion engine car that utilizes gasoline. But it's mainly used in aircraft because it's great for high altitude. And this is because there's less oxygen the higher you go up in elevation, so you need more air being sucked into from the compressor, because this exhaust gas is coming in here, and there's a differential pressure due to the turbine blades or whatever spinning, and it's creating all this pressure and the outside pressure. And you have high speed, low pressure, and then low speed, high pressure. This high pressure moving everywhere out here because it's a low speed of your atmospheric air. The high pressure, these molecules are flying everywhere. These molecules, they want to slow down. And naturally, everything wants to slow down. So it goes to a slower portion, which is inside here. And that's your differential pressure. It works. It's how airplanes fly, with the air going over the wings or whatever. It's a differential pressure. It's a very important concept to learn. And of course here you have oil lubricating your bearings and seals and stuff like that. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this turbocharger, how it works explanation. I hope you enjoyed it. You have exhaust gases flowing to your turbocharger, and then you got intake air. You got your atmospheric air coming in, which is basically how you have pressurized air, and you have intercooler to cool it down, and then it goes into your intake manifold, which already has air coming in it, and then air coming in it, and then you have the pressurized air combined going into the combustion chamber, and you have computers or whatever in your car or whatever, and it senses. You have computers that sense that, hey, there's more air, so let's put more fuel, and you have more fuel and air, which results in a larger explosion, which makes your piston translate that energy to your crankshaft, and it's just really cool. The cool thing about a turbocharger is you don't have to have boost on. You can put on a regular car, and it can be set up in such a way that you don't have to be burning more fuel. It can just, the turbocharger atomizes the air a lot better. It atomizes the air, and it's more efficient. I mean, it might cost a little bit more, but it's more efficient. That's just, that's my humble opinion, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments, and any corrections, leave them in the comments. I am happy to accept any criticism or whatever. It's cool. Hey, it's your prerogative. That's what you do. Thumb up, thumb down, comment, favorite, whatever. Thank you.